Manifestation story number 2. This one is a little bit more recent, and this is for anybody who is dealing with maybe what you would consider maybe heavier type circumstances, especially circumstances that deal with your livelihood, where you feel like life is really lifing you. And you have deadlines, and you are like, look, my very livelihood, my sense of security, like, is at stake here, and I'm concerned, and you start to feel worried and doubt and all that. Hopefully this inspires you and uplifts you to not give up. Okay, so let's say up until August, I was pretty good. Like I had, like, my rent was paid up for like 6 months, in advance. Because your girl is resourceful. And, and so let me know if you want me to do a video about resources and manifestation, and like law of attraction, law of assumption, and how that can go hand in hand. How resources can come to you through manifestation and stuff like that. And so I was in a transition period for new employment, transitioning. And I had been transitioning for a while for, finding new employment. Always getting close, but never quite being the one chosen. Always getting to be like one of the finalists, one of the final candidates, but not being the candidate, right? But there was this one job that I knew that I had it, right? And when that you just know, you're not even trying to be arrogant, but you're like, I know I've got this. Like, there's no way. Like, you are so confident that in your ability, when you're like, based on your qualifications and your resume and your cover letter, you're like, I know I've got this. I know it. Like, it's this is mine. This job is mine. Like, there's no way. Like, I have to be, this is mine. This is for me, period. I was like that with this particular job. Like, I was thinking way in advance. Like, I had plans for the rest of the year, like, about what I was going to be doing. That all like, okay, I'm gonna have to ask for these days off and stuff, because I got birthday coming up and I got this and that. Like, I was already acting pretty much as if I already had the job, right? Because that's what we do. We act as if, right? And so I was so confident that I had it. It was a process. It took a while. It took them a really long time. Even the application process was really long. Like, it was really long. But I was like, this is going to be worth the wait, because the money was great. They had great benefits. It was remote. It was like laptop life. You know what I mean? Anywhere there's Wi-Fi, you work. Plus, it was doing work that I had just done before the pandemic. So I, was very familiar with it and all that stuff. I just knew that it was mine. And of course, because it took a while, life doesn't stop lifing because you're going through the process. Like, the bills are still coming. They're still accumulating. You still got to make payment arrangements when stuff, stuff is still happening, because you're waiting on income, for your income to come back in or whatever. But, you do the best that you can. You try to do favors here and there, get odd jobs, or, try to do stuff to fill in the gaps, as you can, or utilize resources, that you might have available to you. But I just knew that it was mine. And then you get that email that tells you that we appreciate you know. If you know, you know. Okay? But we've decided to go with the other candidate, and you're just like, I was devastated. I was really, really like, what? But you know what? Blessed, because obviously it was a couple of us who were going out for the same position. And I wasn't even mad because it was like, made the best person get it. You know, obviously I thought I was the best person naturally, but if somebody else was better for the position, had maybe a little bit more experience, had a few more qualifications, like who was I to be mad at that? You know what I mean? Okay. Because we all wanted the job. We all, you know, we all needed the job. So who was I to say that somebody else didn't deserve it? So bless. I sent them off with love. You know what I mean? Whoever the person was who got it. Because it was a really good job. But then that still left me in a position of, okay, now I still have to wait on other offers to come in, but life is not waiting. You know what I mean? Life is still lifing, okay? And so I did get to a point where I was feeling a little panicky because I was being triggered. I was being triggered from past experiences. Yeah, my subconscious was reaching back into the Rolodex from, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, where I was in similar situations where I didn't know about manifestation, where I didn't realize that my thoughts created my reality, where I didn't realize that I could alter my reality with my thoughts and my words. And I found myself in similar, circumstances, and I pretty much crashed and burned. You know what I mean? And it was scary. It just reminded me of times when I wasn't safe, where I was, homeless and didn't have food and didn't have, all those type of things. Well, I did had to sleep in my car, and it just triggered all of those scary emotions, and my anxiety, was like, oh my gosh, Tiffany, it was like danger, danger. It was that, okay? And I had to, pull myself together. You know what I mean? Because my ego, I get it. It was trying to brace me for the worst, which I had already experienced the worst. You know what I mean? So my ego was trying to brace me for the worst, so I wouldn't fall as hard as I did back when it happened. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, ego, I see what you're trying to do. I see you. I get it. You're trying to do your job, but I don't need you to do this right now because this is not the direction that we're trying to go in. Okay? We're not trying to go in this direction. We're trying to move differently here. We're not trying to go backwards. Okay? I'm trying to change the circumstance. Okay? So I don't need to be reminded of past circumstances and how I reacted in the past, because I'm trying to react differently in the present. Like, I had to have a whole conversation with myself and with my ego, because I understand my ego was just egoing, but I didn't need my ego to ego. I needed my ego to chill and shush and let my higher self. Do you see what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Sometimes you have to shush the ego, okay? Because the ego is not always there to help you. It's there to keep you safe, but it's there to keep you safe in a very predictable way. So the ego is there for its own self-preservation, not necessarily for yours, and not necessarily in the best way. My understanding. Okay? My perspective. Tiffany's perspective. That's all. So a friend of mine, asked if I could do her a favor and like dog sit for her for a week while they go out of town. And so I did. I went to her house and I dog sat, for her. And it was supposed to be for 7 days. So on day number 3, I was really overwhelmed because by this time I was really behind, like with my rent. And I went from, having like 6 months paid up front, like in advance, to now being behind, like, 3 months, going into 3 months. Well, I had just crossed over to 3 months, and I just couldn't even believe I had gotten behind that much. And, just being real, keeping it real. You know what I mean? And I was like very, very distraught about it because, I had never really been that behind before, ever, not since I've lived here. In all the years, going on 5 years that I've lived here, it's never gotten to that point, and obviously they know I was always been a good tenant and I've always, paid, whatever. And even if I was behind, they've gotten their money like that. It's never been like this, So even I was like, what am I doing? What am I manifesting that's causing this to happen? Okay. And so then I started getting mad at myself because I was like, girl, what are you doing? Because you're causing this. You're manifesting something. There is a narrative running that's causing this to happen because this is not, you don't do this. Like, even if you do occasionally get behind, I think most people, every once in a while, you might get a little behind for whatever reason. You don't get this behind. Like, what is going on? And like, how are you not getting the job offers that you deserve, you qualify for? How are you getting all these no's? Like, what is happening? To the point where you're not, what? Like, you just had all of this rent paid. Like, you just did all that. Like, you've been taking care of yourself throughout the entire pandemic. Like, you've been very, very blessed. Like, you've been using resources. You've been doing you. You've been using your own funds with other, like, what happened? What are you doing? And so I started being mad at myself. And I started feeling guilty. And I started self-condemning. And I started spiraling because I started, getting it from outside sources, from certain, family, certain friends, which made me feel even worse because I was feeling like I was being condemned and shamed and judged from the outside. So I was just spiraling. If you know, you know. If you've been through this, if you've had a season, even if it was just very temporary, where it just seemed like nothing but pure chaos. Like, you just had a storm where everything was just like a tornado. And just everything in your life just seemed to be a straight tower moment, okay, as the tarot readers call it. Just a tower moment where it just seemed like everything was just falling apart at the same time. If you know, then you know. If you feel me, you feel me. Because it can put you in a emotional state. It can be very triggering, especially if you've experienced it before. And it really can put you in an emotional downward spiral. And it can be hard to get out of if you don't have the tools and the mental strength to catch yourself and try to pull yourself out of it. Or if you don't have a strong support system or your tribe to help to recognize when you're spiraling and help pull you out of it as well. So I recognized that I had to pull myself out of it, which I usually do have to pull myself out of it. And it took me about maybe 3 days because on day number 3, I was just a mess. And I was at my friend's house and I had hurt my foot. So I was using her foot massager and I was in her rocking chair. And I was had the TV on some 80s horror movie. And I remember I just burst into tears. Like, I was just sobbing. And I was just like crying so hard. I had all the lights off in the living room and I was just crying and crying and crying. And I was just like praying, like crying and just asking for a solution. Because I was saying, I know that there's a solution. Like, I know there is, because you can't have a problem and not have a solution at the same time. Like, the law of polarity won't allow that. You know what I mean? The minute a problem happens, the solution is born simultaneously. Like, I know there's a solution to this. I know there's an answer to why this is happening. And so I was just asking, bring me the solution. Like, show me the answer so I can find relief. Just take some of this pressure off of me. So, for at least get my rent taken care of. So I can at least get caught up. At least a month or two. You know what I mean? Because this is not sitting well with me. It's really weighing heavy on me. It's stressing me out. And, you know, at some point, the apartment people are only going to give me so much grace. You know what I mean? And I was really, really struggling, right, with that. And I finished crying because I had to feel my feelings. I had to feel the frustration and the anger and the disappointment of all of that. I just had to cry it out, as Kyle Cease would say, just cry it out. And I had to just cry all of it out. The fact that I felt so alone, the fact that I felt like I was doing it by myself, that I have just, like, everything that I was feeling, I just had to cry it out. I did. And again, if you can relate, if you know, you know what I mean? And then I had to be okay with the fact that I had that moment, because I knew that spiraling was not going to help. I had to stop it because it was going to get worse if I let myself go down that rabbit hole. Because I'm like, I'm going to keep manifesting it getting worse, and I have to stop it, right? And so I was done crying, and I had the tissue, wiped my eyes and my nose and all that stuff. And I just, like, took a deep breath, and I just, something said just, like, to pick up my phone and just start scrolling through YouTube. And I came across this gentleman. I want to say his name is Elmer Locker Jr. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I know I want to say his father, Elmer Locker Sr., I believe. And I think his father used to, like, knew Neville Goddard and, like, went to his lectures back in the day. And then he would teach, he has his own little YouTube channel, which is, like, really nice. And then his son, like, learned from his father, and his son has his YouTube channel, and he teaches what his dad learned from Neville Goddard directly. And I think that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. Elmer Locker Jr. He's bald. He wears glasses. White guy. You know, if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, Elmer Locker Jr. I think that's his name, and he's actually he has very calm kind of demeanor, but I think he has, like, tattoos, like, and stuff on his arms and stuff, like some tattoos. But he has a really nice channel, and he talks about, it's all Neville Goddard type stuff that he's learned from his dad. And I came across one of his videos in my little feed, and he was talking about how he had reached, I think, his 100K subscribers or something like that, and he applied to get his plaque for YouTube. And I think he was denied because of something, because of one video or something like that. He was denied. And then at first he was kind of taken aback, like, what? Like, he wasn't sure why he was denied, because of something that they said, something, it was something, and that's why he was denied, because of something. And at first he was a little annoyed by it, but then he was like, you know what? I'm going to rewrite this. Like, I'm not going to accept this because I'm going to get my plaque. You know what I mean? And he thought, I'm going to use the knot technique. And I'm going to just write out the knot technique, and I'm going to couple it with the 369 technique, which I believe is Nikola Tesla, where you write your statement 3 times, and then later in the day, in the morning, you write it 6 times, and then before you go to bed, you write it 9 times. And I think he said he did it for about a week. And then I think the following week, he got correspondence from YouTube or from Google saying, hey, we reconsidered, we're now going to send you your plaque. And then he uploaded a picture to his channel of him having his plaque. So he completely revised the whole decision that they made, that they weren't giving him his plaque. He just rechanged it using the knot technique, and he just created a statement saying that he didn't want it. Like, I do not want my YouTube plaque because I already have it. I do not want my YouTube plaque because I have it. And he did it in the 369 method. And then a few days later, he got notification that, oh, we're now going to give it to you. And he uploaded him with his plaque once he got it. And so he completely changed the trajectory and changed his reality, literally, with that. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. And he explained that, the universe, he's not the first one who said this. I've heard many, many people in the manifestation community say how the universe doesn't respond to the word not. So when you say that you do not want something, you're going to get it because your emphasis is still on the thing. It's not on the not getting it. It's on the thing. So if you say that, I do not want to be late for work. I do not want to be late. I do not want to be late. Your emphasis is on be late, be late, be late. You know what I mean? Because that's what the focus is on. It's still on being late. Even though you're saying that you don't want to be late, the focus is still on being late. That's the subject. It's still being late. So that's why the not is irrelevant. And so it's that. And so that's what he was using that to get what he wanted instead of getting what he doesn't want. Because a lot of times we say, I don't want something, and we're saying it because we don't want something. And we end up getting what it is that we don't want because we say we don't want it. And he thought, well, let me use this Neville Goddard technique or this different technique of using not to actually get something that I do want. So if I say I don't want it, then it's going to come because I really do want it. But I'm going to say that I don't want it. But the focus is still going to be on the subject. And that's how he got his YouTube plaque. So I thought, I'm going to try that. And I'm going to manifest my rent money. And I wrote out that I wanted my rent paid for the rest of the year. That would have been August through December. And did I actually fully believe that it was going to be paid for the rest of the year? No, but stranger things have happened in my life. So I knew it was a possibility. I 100% knew it was possible. But I thought, if I just get caught up, that'd be great. Even if I just got 2 up to 3 months pay or whatever, and I'll just work on October, whatever. But I at least wanted to get the past due, like August and September paid. You know what I'm saying? So because I actually did have another job. Well, actually, there's another job that was, I was in the actual hiring process, and I had just gone through the test and all that stuff, and I was just waiting on the official offer. So I actually had, employment, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And something just happened a couple of days ago to where I couldn't accept the job. And so like literally like just a couple of days ago, I couldn't take the job because of something that they wanted me to do that I couldn't do. So I did have like this whole job thing I already had one. I was just waiting for the official job offer. So once again, I was in limbo where I had, I was in the middle of being offered a job, but didn't. So once again, yeah. So I was like, if I could just get caught up until I actually start my new job and start getting paid and whatever, I can take care of, the rest of the year myself, whatever. But I really just kind of wanted to get caught up. And I thought, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this for my rent and just see what happens. What do I have to lose? Really? That was my thought process. What do I have to lose? Nothing. I'm just going to try it. And so I took out my manifestation scripting journal, which is from Brown and Bendy. Dominic Davis sent this to me as a gift. Shout out to Brown and Bendy. She's awesome. Go follow Brown and Bendy. Dominic Davis is amazing. Her YouTube channel is wonderful. And I decided that it was like on October 9th when I discovered it, because I went to my friend's house on the 6th. So I was there for 3 days. Like on that Thursday. And this was like this was like Saturday night. And it was maybe like 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on like Sunday morning. So it was like super late. And I literally started writing. And I said, I do not want my rent paid in full for the rest of the year because it is already paid. And I literally started writing it. And I started doing the 369 method. I do not want my rent paid in full for the rest of the year because it is already paid. I do not want, and I did every day. I just started writing it, right? But I know, sorry, I keep thinking lip gloss to my teeth. So I did it the first night, well, the first early morning on the 9th. And that morning I went to bed, and then later that morning I got an inbox, a mess from Messenger. And that inbox, I got two actually. One was from a friend of mine who I talk to regularly. One was from a friend / old coworker who I used to work with years ago. And we talk maybe more on social media. We see each other. We don't talk a lot on the phone, really. But we see each other on social media and stuff like that. But she inboxed me, and she had messaged me because she had seen a post of my foot the week before. I had hurt my foot and had my foot wrapped up, and I had posted about it, on Facebook. Like, see, this is what happens when you wait too long to get checked out and messed up my foot, right? And so she had ended up inboxing me that morning, that Sunday morning at like 11 o'clock in that morning, and I was up, to go let the dogs out and everything like that. And I was just kind of sitting on the side of the bed. And she just, out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting her to inbox me, but she did. And she was like, good morning, how are you? Like, how's your foot? And, she's like, I just wanted to check on you. I just felt like I had to reach out to you. Are you good? Do you need anything? And when I say I read that message, family, okay, and I burst into tears. Like, I just burst into tears, right? That was just hours after I had wrote those lines, okay? I think it was maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, that Sunday morning that I wrote those. And then around 11 is when I got that message from her. And I just started crying and crying and crying. And I sent her this lengthy response back. Just like, oh, I'm told her about how my foot was doing, updated her. And then just, told her, oh, I'm dog sitting, blah, blah. And I just kind of just said, I really appreciate you, you checking on me. Because, sometimes people will ask you how you're doing as a formality. Or just to be polite. And you can tell the difference. But I could tell that she was asking if I was good because she genuinely wanted to know if I was good. And I guess that was her intuition. I guess that was God. That was whatever her higher power is like telling her, you need to check on Tiffany for whatever reason. For whatever reason. She received a download of intuition. Something in her spirit said, you need to reach out to her and you need to check on her now, today. And she said she felt like she had to reach out. That's the part that got me. Like, wow, she felt like she had to. Like she was compelled to do it. Something made her feel like, I need to reach out and see if she's good. And I felt that. It hit me in my heart, and it just was so overwhelming to me because I felt the genuineness of it. And I expressed that to her, and I expressed my gratitude for her for that. Because sometimes we can get robotic. with each other. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can. Sometimes we do say, oh, oh, how you doing? Oh, you need anything? Hey, you good? Even if we know that some of us are going through something, sometimes family and friends, sometimes you might know. Sometimes, we try to keep it quiet. Maybe we might keep it close to the chest because a lot of people, didn't know what I was going through. But maybe the few people who do know, maybe they reach out, maybe they don't. Maybe they care, maybe they don't. Maybe they, you know what I mean? Maybe they want to help, maybe they don't. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Like you just never know, you know what I mean? What's going on behind the scenes, with other people, because nobody's entitled to help you. Like, let's be honest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's entitled to help you, really. So if anyone who chooses to reach out or chooses to help or chooses to check on you, it's by personal choice. You know what I mean? It's because they're choosing to do so, not because they're entitled to, right? So sometimes we can get robotic with that. Like, oh, hey, you doing good? Cool. But we don't really always care if they're doing well, or sometimes we don't always want to hear that they're not, or we don't want to hear that certain people in our circle or in our family or whatever are not doing well, because sometimes maybe we're not comfortable with the idea that certain people who we know aren't doing well, especially if they're people who we hold in high regard or in high esteem, or people who we look at as always thriving or always doing well. We don't want to know that they're not doing okay, because if they're not doing okay, oh Lord, then that means there's potential for me not to do okay. And I don't want to know that, I don't know. My personal opinion, just take it or leave it. You know what I mean? But that's my experience. I don't know. So when you feel that genuineness, that genuine care, that genuine warmth, that, I don't know, it just touched me. It really did. And it just made me cry. And so, I felt full of gratitude. And I was honest, and I told her, I'm not good, but I'm okay. And I thank you for asking, because I can feel that you genuinely really want to know if I'm good. You're not just asking to be polite. And I thank you for that. And, she was like, well, I'll be available later so you can call me. And I did. And like, I called her and we talked for like 5.5 hours, because we don't really talk. You know what I mean? And we had great conversation, and we caught up, and we laughed, and we talked about everything and anything. We talked about our time when we worked together. We talked about all kinds of stuff, what was going on in her life, in my life, the high highs, the low lows, and everything in between. And then, she was like, well, what's going on with you? What's going on? I was telling her about, stuff that was going on with me in my apartments. And I'm like, how is going on with this job and then that job. And I'm in the process of having this new job. But I'm just trying to get caught up or whatever. But it'll be okay. Like, I'm just, trying to utilize my resources. But I'm in the middle of, in limbo with that. Like, I was just kind of spilling it. But I said, but everything's going to be fine. Like, I'm trusting that everything's going to be fine. And then out of nowhere, she's just like, well, because she had gotten a new job too, and she was loving it. And so we were talking about that too. And then she's just like, well, I'm not rolling in dough, but I believe that when you got it, you give it. So what do you need? And I was just so taken aback, because I'm thinking, well, we don't talk a whole lot. So I was already kind of embarrassed by it. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask her anything. Like, first of all, I'm not asking for anything, you know what I mean? And, which is something I need to do better at, but like, I'm not going to ask her anything, but she was like, just, you give me a number and I'll let you know if I can. And I was just like, I couldn't even do that. It's like my ego, my pride wouldn't let me do that. Right. And I was like, I don't know. And then I was going to try to say maybe 200, because I thought, okay, well, the universe is saying, okay, if she's offering, this could be the universe just be like, look, I'm trying to help you, just say something. So I was gonna say maybe 200 when I knew it was like 2100. But I was like, maybe 200 in my mind before I could even get that out, because 1 month of rent for me is like $660, right? Almost $700. So like $660, and she blurted out, how about this? $650. How does that? How's that go? How's that? And I was just like, are you serious? And I started to cry all over again because I'm thinking she randomly came up with that number with 650, and I'm like, and my rent is 660. Like, how? I was like, that was completely orchestrated. That was divine intervention because ain't no way. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh my God, that's like literally $10 less than what my rent is. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh my gosh, like you have no idea. Because I'm pretty sure I didn't even tell her like how much my rent actually was. Like, I think she just came up with that number. Like, I'm like, that's a pure manifestation right there. And I ended up calling my aunt afterwards, and she was like, oh, and this is not a loan. Like, she's like, don't even worry about it. Like, it wasn't even a loan. It was just like, here, it's a gift. Just take it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how many people do you know do that? I mean, I'm sure people do that, but I was just so overwhelmed with gratitude. I was like, oh my God. Like, all I could do was cry. And I called my aunt, and I tell her what happened, and she was like, oh my God, because I've been praying for you, and I've been affirming. And she was like, well, I'm going to send you the other 10, so you're going to have the whole 660. So my aunt, she ended up sending me the other. She actually sent me 20. She was like, here's $10, and then use the other 10 to go get you a snack or whatever. And so just like that, in less than 24 hours, okay, I would say maybe within 12 hours of me scripting that statement, that I do not want my rent paid, a friend who I just reached out to me and offered me at least like 1 month of my rent, just like that. Okay. And by Friday I had it. Like, I had the whole money ordered, like, for that. You know what I mean? Because we had it in 2 parts or whatever. But even by the end of the week, when I had I had applied like for the trustees as well. And even though there was just some rigmarole, so, you know, with that, I still kept scripting. You know, for the trustees, whatever, because that's what all this was for. I still kept scripting, like, that I was still getting it. I'm still, like, everything is paid in full. Like, I didn't know how. You know what I mean? I mean, I applied for the trustees and I hoped for the best, but I didn't know how. You know, because they can deny you, they can do whatever, you know? And because they have certain parameters and guidelines, and maybe I qualified, maybe I didn't. And then I got a phone call that I qualified, that I come to the office, that I guess whatever paperwork I had, they decided it was going to be fine or whatever. And I went down there and I signed my voucher, and they offered to pay $660, and usually they only pay $650. So they paid $660, which was another month's rent. And they gave me a voucher to go to Kroger's and buy a bunch of household supplies, which I didn't even know that they did. I was able to get toilet paper and laundry detergent and paper towels and shampoo and abundance, like another manifestation. So I got 2 months of the rent paid, okay, within a week. I mean, I'm assuming that, I mean, I know the trustees, they give you, I guess, the property manager the check whenever. I guess that she got it this week. So within, you know, either way, it was signed over, okay, within like a week and a half of me doing this knot technique, okay? So now, you know, and October is coming too. October's rent is about to be paid too. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know how, but it's about to be paid as well, even though it's the end of October, whatever. Because all things work together, best case scenario. And then November will be paid as well. Best case scenario. Do you see what I mean? So when I tell you that was that was an incredible manifestation for me. Because sometimes, again, I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. Sometimes lifes. Sometimes you just find yourself in a sticky situation. Sometimes it's not because you're a bad person or because you're lazy or because you're irresponsible, and those stereotypical reasons why people end up in, you know, rough situations, especially financially and stuff like that. It's not always for the stereotypical reasons. You know what I mean? Sometimes life just happens. Timing just happens. You know what I mean? Timing is just messed up. and you just pick up the pieces and you do the best that you can. But I'm telling you, changing your perspective of your circumstance can help. Instead of like the wallowing and the complaining and the condemning about your circumstances, and shifting your mindset to shift the vibration, it can help. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to the trustees. I'm grateful to my friend, because those were unexpected sources. Totally unexpected. I did not expect to get almost $1,400 of the 21 that I needed, like, or the 22,000 that I needed. Almost 1,400 of the 2,000 that I needed was taken care of, because I shifted my mind, because I changed my perspective, and it was done in like a week and a half. So if you are struggling with stuff being paid, okay, like, it works. Like, I'm telling you, I know it can be rough. I know sometimes the last thing you want to do is just sit for a second and say, everything is going to be okay. Like, everything is okay. Everything is okay. All is well. I have everything that I need. Everything is taken care of. God is the source of my supply. God is my supply. Or if, you feel comfortable saying, like, the universe is taking care of me, the universe has my back, all is well, no matter what. Even if you're saying it through your tears, even if you're feeling frustrated, even if you're saying, I feel frustrated, I don't even believe what I'm saying right now, but I'm saying it because my livelihood depends on it. Like, I don't even believe what I'm saying right now. I am full of doubt right now. And I know my manifestation is still coming. And I know everything is still working out for me in the best possible way. You know what I mean? As Roxy Talks always says, best case scenario. I know I've said it a few times. We give her credit. Best case scenario. Everything is working out for me. Best case scenario. Roxy says it all the time. So I say that everything is working out for me. Best case scenario. Everything is working out for me. Best case scenario. When I'm looking at something, okay, this is a good thing. I don't know how this is a good thing, but this is a good thing. I'll feel my feelings. I'll gripe. I might vent. I might rant about it. Sometimes I need to do that to feel better, because sometimes me suppressing it makes it worse, because it builds up more resistance. And you know what you resist persists. So sometimes I have to let it out in my own way. And then I'm like, okay, you let it out. Now get it together. Get it together. Everything is working out. Best case scenario. I can't even give any details how. I can't even be specific. I'm just saying everything works out for me. Best case scenario. Everything is working out. Everything is working out in my favor. Everything is working out in my favor. Everything is great. Everything is working out in my favor right now. I have to even just be that general a lot of the time, because there just may be too many things. Sorry, my sinuses. But I hope this uplifts you. I hope it inspires you. This video is an hour. But sometimes, again, life's. And I don't want you to get discouraged. I don't want you to give up. Because I've been there. I feel you. I can relate to you. I understand you. I get it. But you do not have to stay there. Trust me, there are means and there are resources and there are solutions that you cannot even see, that you cannot even think of, that you don't even know exist, because they are beyond anything that you can even think of. The universe will put things together that will blow your mind, and they will be the solution to your issue. So take some deep breaths. Feel your feelings, and then reel it in, head up, chin up, and you start affirming, if you can, everything, all is well. Everything is working out. Everything is working out. The universe has got this. God is taking care of it. There's nothing else I have to do. There's nothing I have to do because it's already done. It's already done. Try the knot technique. Get out your paper. Try. I do not want everything to work out for me, best case scenario, because it's already worked out. I do not want all of my bills paid in full because they're already paid. I do not want that brand new car I need to get to work because I already have it. I do not want all the medical bills paid because they're already paid. Like, fill in the blank. You know what I mean? Just try it and do the 3-6-9 method. You write it 3 times, like in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times before you go to bed. I do not want, or however you want to space it out, but just 3 times, 6 times, 9 times in a day. I do not want that. And when you think about it, when you think that thing, when I would be out, getting the dogs out, whatever, I would think about it. Anytime rent would pop up in my head, I would just say it. I do not want my rent paid in full for the rest of the year because it's already paid. I don't want my rent paid in full for the rest of the year because it's already paid. I don't want my rent paid in full for the rest of the year because it's already paid. Like, I would just say that. So anytime you think of something, just try it. Just as an affirmation. If it's something that you want, I don't want my car fixed because it's already fixed. I don't want my car fixed because it's already fixed. I don't want my car fixed because it's already fixed. I do not want my car fixed because it's already fixed. And just try it. Just try it on something. Just try it on something. And just see. And you can use it on anything. I do not want my skin clear because it's already clear. I do not want my skin clear because it's already clear. I do not want my stomach flat because it's already flat. I do not want my stomach flat because it's already flat. Or I don't not want to get into that college because I'm already in it. I do not want to be accepted into XYZ college because I've already been accepted. I do not want to get that raise because I've already got it. But like, just use it on whatever you want. Fill in the blank. Literally. These are just examples. Fill in the blank. And just see. Because like I said, it took maybe a week. Okay? Like, for the first time, for my friend, bless her, oh my God, for her to bless me with that 650. She actually ended up giving me 660, by the way. For her to bless me with that initial rent amount, less than 12 hours. Less than 12 hours of me writing it one time. And less than 12 hours. From like 2 a.m. to 3 o'clock in the morning to 11. That's like not even 8 hours. That's like 8 hours. Like I said, less than 12 hours. And I got it. So, shout out to Elmer. That's a great technique to use. And so, I'm going to be using it on some other things too. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to have some new videos. So definitely check out the knot technique. Check out Elmer, Locker. Elmer Locker Jr. I really hope I'm saying his name right. And also, I will leave also the link to my book in the link below, in the description box below. And again, I hope these manifestation success stories boosted you. And I hope that they give you some faith and they let you know that all things are possible. All things are possible. So, because they just even reminded me that all things are possible. That all is well, no matter what. No matter what. So, I'm about to go and make me a bagel and some tea or coffee. And maybe take something else for these sinuses, these allergies. And I hope you all have a fantastic day or evening wherever you are. It is a glorious Sunday, fall afternoon here in the Midwest. So you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you all so much. Like, share, subscribe. Love you all. Stay amazing. Stay wonderful. If you have any ideas for topics you want me to talk about, drop them in the comments. Again, I see you, I feel you, you know, I relate to you. If you could relate to some of my circumstances, bless, then you know. Okay. You know, I always try to be honest and very transparent with you all, because I'm having a human experience too. It's not always, you know, it ebbs and flows, you know. So, you know, I'll bring you the amazing highs, but there's also, you know, some there's also some choppy waters. But the point is how we get through them. And that's where the techniques come in. So I always want to be transparent with you all that I have my choppy waters that I go through as well. I have my storms, I have my moments of chaos. And, you know, I also want to show you how I get through them as well. So I don't want to ever come off or create the illusion that life is always perfect for me, or that it's always, or just because Tiffany has been able to manifest incredible solutions, that there wasn't a problem that needed the solution in the first place. Because I'm going to give you all the tea, okay? I'm not going to leave out, you know, the meat and potatoes or whatever. I'm not going to leave out the details because to me, the value is in the details. I want you all to see that, yes, she did have a moment where the 3D'd her, okay? The 3D got to her, the lifed her, and this is how she felt. And she was crying, and she was, you know, feeling depressed and anxious, and, you know, she was going through it, because I feel like I'm not the only person that happens to. And if I share my experience for other people who are manifesting as well, I don't want you to think that you still can't come through that and get what you ultimately desire and still have the ideal outcome that you want, just because you have a human experience and you feel your human feelings, because your body's going to do what it does, and you're going to feel your feelings, you're going to feel your emotions. I just want you to know that you don't have to stay there, and it's not permanent. That doesn't have to be your permanent residency. You can just be passing through, because there is another side. And hopefully this video was evidence of that. So again, thank you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging with me for this long. I appreciate you. It's 1:11, so I think this is a good amount of time to end it on. 1 hour and 11 minutes. Thank you all. Take care. Mwah.